Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Andy, aka Elogee, aka Elogee. I'm here today ready to bring you another Magic the Gathering deck tech video. I've really been liking this series, I hope you guys are as well. I've been really into Magic lately. This is one of the most fun types of content that I've made in a long time, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Today I have a deck for Standard. It is April 15th. 6 days until my birthday. Yeah, April 15th, 2022. So I think Standard rotates out September, so got a couple more months left to use this deck, but I've been having a blast with this one. This is the culmination of a deck archetype I tried to make work ever since Crimson Vow came out, and I pulled my first Cultivator Colossus. I wanted to try to make a deck work with it. I tried black, green, like Reanimator stuff, and it worked fine, but it was never really there. Then about a month ago, I did some more tweaking, added some red into the mix, as well as some other goodies, and now the deck feels complete. Like, I actually take this into ranked and, wreck with it, so I'm very excited to show you the deck today. So let's just get into it, shall we? To begin with, we got lands, and I believe I have 2 of each pathway. This can create either green or black. When you have it in your hand, you can, flip to the other side and play this pathway, or you can just play the pathway on the front. It's kind of flavorful like that. Like, you can choose your path. Do you want black mana or green mana? So I got that. I also have the red and green pathway, again, for, just to choose which route I want to go. The deck is primarily green. Most sources require green, but there's some that require black, some that require red, so that's why the pathways are in there. In addition to the pathways, I have 2 Deathcap Glade, which is a slow land. Comes into play tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. So it's not a huge downside for this deck to just play that turn 1 tapped. Then on turn 2 I can play a basic land or a pathway and, curve out the way I normally would, because I have one play set of 1 cost spells in here, so if I don't hit that on my first turn, it's no big deal, really. But then again, by the time you get to 3 lands, you can play that on your turn 3. So there's ways to play the deck optimally, depending on what's in your hands. So I do like the options this provides. I really like that cycle of lands. Speaking of which, we also have Rockfall Vale, which is the same thing, but for red and green. And I actually got the what do they call this? Extended art of both of these lands, because they both look just incredible. Very nice looking set of lands right there. Yeah, that's it for non-basic lands. I don't have any creature lands. The rest are all basics. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 forest. Like I said, the primary colors of this deck are green. So we got 8 forest, 4 swamp, and 4 mountain. Like I said, I don't need very much red or black, but I do have the pathways and the slow lands, as well as 4 of the basic lands, just in case opponents have, like, Field of Ruin or, something to that effect, that I will need a basic source of a specific color of mana. So yeah, that's my mana base, 24 lands. It's kind of a high cost deck, so I went with the arena suggested amount of lands. By the way, if this video hits 5 likes, I will play with this deck on Magic Arena. You guys seem to like the last version of that I did, so again, if we get 5 likes, I'll play with this deck on Arena. But now let's get into the actual meat of the deck. So here's the 1 cost spell in my deck, 4 copies of Dig Up. Now this is it's a pretty cool sorcery. For 1 green mana, you can dig for a basic land, any basic land from your deck, and add it to your hand. But you can also cleave it and pay this cost instead of this which would be 1 colorless, 2 black, and a green to tutor up any card in your deck. So if it's late game and I need something specific, I can cleave it. If it's early game and I'm running low on lands, I can dig for that. It's overall just a very good card in a deck like this. I felt for the longest time I didn't see the appeal to this, but in a deck like this, it definitely pulls its weight. So yeah, dig up had to include 4 of. Werewolf Pack Leader, the go-to green card, green creature. It's just crazy good value. 2 mana, 3/3 with insane upside, allowing you to draw a card if creatures that are attacking have 6 power or greater. And you can pump more mana into it to give it trample and 5 base power until the end of turn. Just insane value. I only have 3 in here because I have so much variety in my in the types of mana my lands can produce. Like if I was mono green, it'd be a 4 of, you know, no questions asked. But because I'm diluting into different colors, I dropped it down to 3. But Werewolf Pack Leader still crazy good. Here we got Prosperous Innkeeper, my cousin Luke's personal favorite card. Couldn't finish that with a straight face. No, this is only in here to provide me with a treasure token because I have such an inconsistent mana base. I'll often need the treasure token to do what I need to do in order to keep the deck flowing, play what I need to play when I need to play it. The life gain comes in handy too, but it's not the reason it's in here. It's in there for the treasure token that unconditionally comes into play when this hits the field. And I've found sometimes when this hits the field, people expect you to have like a life gainy kind of synergy deck, so they'll just try to kill it right away, when in fact it's really just there for the treasure token. So yeah, Prosperous Innkeeper does, he pulls his weight too. Now here I have 3 copies of Ranger class. Oh, excuse me, 4 copies. Forgot I had 4 in here. But, I mean, it's understandable. It's great value. For 2 mana, you get a 2/2 wolf token. For 2 more mana, you can pump into it. So every time you attack, one of your attacking creatures gets a +1/+1 counter. Then you can pump 4 more mana into it to look at the top card of your library and cast creatures from the top. Overall, insane value on that card. I really only thought I had 3 in here, but I guess 4 makes sense. 4 makes sense in any deck that plays it, really. But yeah, just very good value. And that is all my 1 and 2 drops, and I have no 3 cost spells. So we're moving on from 1 where I only had this, 2 where I got, this decent stack. Then we skip, our 3rd round where we can play stuff, but that's why the treasure token often comes in handy. Coming up next, we have Helana and Elena, which requires red mana. It's just crazy value. It's a legendary creature, which is kind of sad, but it gives another one of your creatures counters equal to its power. So if Helana and Elena had just hit the field, it hasn't had any modifiers or anything, it'll unconditionally give another creature +2/+2 counter. Well, 2 +1/+1 counters. That technicality will come into play. It also gives them haste, which is huge value, and Helana and Elena itself also has first strike and reach, which doesn't come up quite as often as its other pump effect, but that's still very good value. So yeah, 3 of them in here. This was a new addition to the deck. Like I said, originally I was just green and black, did not have any red, but I wanted to splash Helana and Elena to give haste to my aforementioned Cultivator Colossus, as well as, anything else that would come into play after Helana and Elena, but it's very, very good value right there. Now we got Binding the Old Gods. I have 3 of this. I slept on this for a long time. I thought 4 mana for this was too much, and it was too slow, and I just didn't see the appeal, but being able to kill any non-land permanent is nice for a 2 colorless, a green and a black. And then the next turn, when you get to the second part of the saga, you search your library for a forest card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Again, why I have a lot of basic forest in here, just to ramp. And the last effect of the saga really never comes up. You just give all your creatures death touch. That was the worst among them. The most important is destroying one of their permanents and then getting to ramp on the second turn. So yeah, Binding, I got 3 of them in here. It definitely pulls its weight. Now here, this is interesting. I have 3 copies of Unexpected Windfall. For 2 colorless and 2 red, it's an instant. You discard a card, so you play this and discard a card and then draw 2 cards. So it's a net neutral. You're not getting a +1 or anything, but you do get 2 free treasure tokens. And in fact, New Capenna has recently just been spoiled, and apparently there's a card in the set. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called Big Score. That's this, except it's 3 colorless mana and 1 red mana instead of 2/2. So it'd be much better in this deck because I have so few, comparatively few red mana, that I'm often unable to cast this without at least 1 treasure token. So, you know, as soon as Big Score hits the scene, that is definitely replacing this because it's just such a better fit than Unexpected Windfall. Because I can usually salvage 1 red mana. 2 is a little extreme in this build, but yeah, as soon as Big Score hits the scene, that's definitely replacing Unexpected Windfall. But the main draw of this is getting to discard my bigger creatures if they're, you know, muddying up my hand or whatever. So that's what Unexpected Windfall is there for. Now we get to 3 copies of Wrenn and Seven, boys. This is another card I did not see the appeal of for the longest time. 5 mana, 3 colorless, 2 green. Its main draw is its -3 ability, which creates a green treefolk creature token with reach and power and toughness equal to the amount of lands you have. So it's often going to be big. Its only downside is that you can get bounced for 1 blue mana or killed with Bloodchief's Kiss for 1 black mana. I'm not really a fan of creature tokens in this meta, or really any, but it's still good value, and you can plus Wrenn and Seven to reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put any lands into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, and that also comes quite in handy. I'm often scraping up for lands, you know, sacking treasure just to, you know, curve out, you know, at least somewhat optimally, you know, try to get Wrenn and Seven out by turn 5 or maybe even 4, and then I can plus it to get, you know, more lands, or I can create that token. It also has a -8 ultimate, which I have pulled off quite a few times in this build. I suppose I should explain what that does. You return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand, and you have an emblem, and as far as I know, there's no way to interact with emblems. An emblem that says you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. So, like, everything you milled with this while doing your +1, everything you discarded with this, everything that was destroyed, all like this, that goes away naturally, all your permanents in your graveyard, you get to return them to your hand. But it is a -8, so it takes a lot of effort to get to, especially because as soon as Wrenn and Seven hits the field, you'll almost always want to just -3 and get that creature right away. But still, the possibility for that is always going to be worth noting, because I have pulled that off, and it's a good feeling when that resolves. Now we get to the crux of the deck. 4 copies of Diregraf Rebirth. This is a sorcery for 3 colorless, black, green. Costs 1 less for each creature that died this turn. Usually it will be the first spell I cast in a turn, so usually going to be 5 mana, but if I do cast it at the end, things died, you know, it gets a nice little discount. However, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, if I have Halana and Elena on the field, for example, and cast this, I can return one of my creatures to the field. Halana and Elena will give it counters based on its current power, as well as haste, and yeah, that's pretty good value on its own. And this card is very good in the fact that it also has flashback, so if this gets milled through Wrenn and Seven or discard through Unexpected Windfall, I can still get value out of it. It's overall just very nice, you know, synergy with the way the deck operates. And we are actually almost done with the deck. Coming up here, another card I slept on for so long. This is Vorinclex, boys. Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. Yeah, when I was first introduced to this card, I didn't see the appeal. I just thought it was a 6 mana 6/6 with trample and haste randomly that would just come out, deal damage, and then die to removal the next turn. But it's actually crazy good. for the counter effects it provides. You get twice as many counters whenever one is added to your field. So like Halana and Elena here, it would normally add 2 1/1 counters to a creature. But if you have Vorinclex out, you add double that, so you would add 4 1/1 counters to another creature. And this also affects Saga counters, or lore counters they're called. So if you have Vorinclex out and this hits the field, you immediately get to destroy target land and get the secondary effect, right then and there, which is just, nice in itself. But the big point of contention is for Planeswalkers, because if you have Vorinclex out and drop a Wrenn and Seven, you don't add 5 loyalty counters, you add 10. So you can ultimate immediately, which, spoiler alert, I have done, and, it's a very good feeling. There's more, though. All of your opponent's counters are halved, rounded down, so most things just get 1 counter at a time, so it rounds down and they never get any counters, so it can completely shut down certain decks. So yeah, Vorinclex just kind of wrecks the meta right now. I've been including it in a lot of decks, and I just love the work that Vorinclex puts out, especially after Vorinclex's first incarnation was kind of a letdown. But now we get to the final card of the deck, what the deck is named after. We got Cultivator Colossus, boys. You can mill it and get it back with Diregraf Rebirth. Halana and Elena can give it haste. Wrenn and Seven combos with it well, because you can use Wrenn to mill it from the deck, get lands in your hand, Diregraf Rebirth it to the field, and all those lands you can play from your hand. I suppose I should explain what Cultivator Colossus does for anyone who doesn't know. 4 colorless mana, 3 green, trample. Power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control, so kind of like the Wrenn and Seven token. However, when it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you do, draw a card and repeat this process. So if you have a hand full of lands, you can unload them all onto the field and draw a card for each land you put on the field. Like, it is just insane. I went off with Cultivator Colossus before, but ever since I consolidated the deck and made it more tight and consistent and competitive, I've done it, a lot more. It's a lot more consistent. So yeah, Cultivator Colossus, really good. Vorinclex kind of almost overshadows it though, just because there's so much value. Overall, the deck is very fun. It's actually good, and if you don't believe me, leave a like, and I'll play with it on Arena to prove it. So, yeah, that is Cultivator Reanimator. I even like the name of the deck, but, yeah, that's going to conclude the deck tech, so let me know what you think. Like I said, hope you guys are enjoying these Magic deck tech videos, because these are so fun for me to make. So, yep, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day, guys.